Good morning, poker fans, evening, wherever you are. As we know, we've got a huge amount of leaks for the new Wind and Wave, so I suppose if you don't like spoilers, click away, even though if you saw the title, saw the thumbnail, you probably would have known this video would have been out spoilers, but people can't read nowadays, so we're going to have a look at Central Leaks on Twitter. All the leaks they've posted, some old, you probably would have seen this picture by now. We're going to look through all of them, I'm going to give you my thoughts, and we're going to see if Wind and Waves will actually be worth spending £380 to buy a Switch 2, because I don't have one, I might have to buy one. I've only started to follow Central Leaks during this time because I finally used Twitter. I never used to because it was confusing. So he used to do riddles, and I guess they still do. So these are some of the new Pokemon. Thing is, right, I'm really bad at riddles. The only clear-cut ones to me are this one, which is like the Moon Bunny, which is very, very popular, like Chinese folklore, so that's simple. And then I'm assuming this is going to be like the opposite version, but there's a bird and a sun, and I didn't know if they were opposites. Let's see what we've got here. We've got Komodo dragons, so a Komodo dragon Pokemon, that would be cool as hell. A boxing type kangaroo, okay, that's easy. Or I don't know what type of kangaroo that is. It looks like some form of baby kangaroo. I don't know what that is, and I feel like that's Clark from the Backrooms. I haven't watched that movie yet because it didn't show in my cinema, because I live in a small town with nothing. A statue, and I'm not sure what that animal is. So some form of like a Buddha Pokemon, like a praying. It kind of looks like Drowsy. This type of animal, whatever Drowsy is based off of. So I'm assuming like maybe like a variant Drowsy form, which would be cool. And then this looks like Anna from Overwatch, and then some form of, it looks like an anteater, maybe. So like maybe it spews out poison. Okay. See, what I want to say is that this is going to be the new evolution. I don't think we're ever going to get them, but if we did, I feel like this could be the new evolution. The only reason, because at the beginning that's what everybody thought was going to get new evolution, but because this is it's more than likely going to be a direct parallel, considering that, look, boy, girl, sun, moon, okay, they're two different animals, but you know what I mean, like, I suppose you could say land animal and flying animal are direct opposites. So because of that, I don't want to say this is going to be an evolution, but it would have been cool to get like, you know, like a ground type evolution. I feel like I'm most excited for the Komodo dragon and these sun moon type fusions down here. Somebody put regional Drowsy line or regional Mooner line. That's actually a good call. I forgot about Mooner. I saw a lot of people talk about, so this is the new character from the new series, and she is got the new Pokemon is linked to her. So I do wonder, to me she kind of looks like an evolution, but like a bunny girl. Is that a lesbian? That looks like a lesbian. Nothing wrong with that, that's hot. It is another one that's been out for quite a while, and this is the starter evolution typing rumour. I actually quite like these guys. I know they're not very popular, people don't like them, they think they're too cute. The only one who I think doesn't really look like a Pokemon would be Pombon, and I flipping love Pombon, but I feel like Brout and Quack. I think those two look a lot like Pokemon. Brout, I'm really in between Brout and Pombon to pick for my starter. I feel like it depends if I'm feeling angry that day. So we're looking at a Brout grass ground type. I don't know if we've got a grass ground typing. I know they're very unique, and I can see a lot of ways, like they could kind of do like a flightless bird type thing with Brout, then, you know what I mean. Oh, to be fair, he's not actually a flying type, even though he's a bird. But that's what I mean. It could be like a non-flying bird, which, you know, we have. Look at penguins. Pombon is a fire fairy, which I know that definitely we've not had that before, I don't think. To me, that does kind of mean it might stand on two legs. I know a lot of people were hoping for Pombon to stay on four, but when I do think of fairies, I do tend to see like these more anthropomorphic animals. You know, they stand on two legs and they do cast and spells type crap. So I definitely like the typing though, but I feel like I wouldn't want it on this type of Pokemon. Like I wouldn't want a Fire Fairy typing on a dog. Greca, I'm just going to call it Greca, is Water Psychic. Yeah, 100%. I think this is the best typing out of the three. You can tell this is going to be like a Slay type Pokemon, kind of like we've been getting lately with the Pokemon water types. Look at Quaxly's Final Evolution, and even Sobble's Final Evolution. They all slay, you know what I mean? Like they've got eyeliner and they're more feminine, which I like. A lot of people have a problem with, and I think why not let them slay? So I definitely am more excited for Kogeka's Final Evolution. Brout and Pombon, I like their first Evos, but I wouldn't really care about their last, because I do see them being more generic. I do feel like the most exciting one will be Kogeka's Final Evolution, but I do prefer Brout. It just looks so angry. Looking through the comments, a lot of people, there's a big split. Obviously these are rumours, and I feel like people in these comments are treating it like Central Leaks have said this is 100%. But you know, people saying, oh, why would it be a bird? But we have flightless birds. I feel like a lot of people are agreeing that the best typing is Kogeka's one. Which one, as once again, I think this makes, like, this will probably be the canon typing. The only other one I could see it being is possibly it being Water Fairy. But I don't really see that. I do see Water Psychic. Here's another one I'm looking really excited for. This could potentially be, once again, potential, where is it? Potential leak. Psyduck will get an Ice Psychic regional form. It will also get 2 brand new regional evolutions. So, yes, I'm assuming Psyduck will be the first evolution, and then it will get 2 new evolutions, because it says down here, no Golduck. Yeah, the rumour claims it's a brand new evolution, not Golduck. That is a very interesting choice. I do think I would have preferred them adding a baby form of Psyduck, and then adding a new regional form for Psyduck and Golduck, because I really do like Golduck as a Pokemon. I feel like it should have got a Mega Evolution. So hopefully this doesn't fall short. But to be honest though, I don't really get, like, it's completely at this point they should have just made a new duck type Pokemon instead of just rebranding Psyduck, because it's going to be Ice Psychic, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get why they could have just not made a new Pokemon, and it could have been, like, slightly related to it. Again, I feel like people are split with this. A lot of people are happy that it's getting the Psychic type, but a lot of people, like me, are saying that it should have just been a new Pokemon. But, you know what? I like Psyduck. I think it's a cute Pokemon. I mean, look at this little guy. So, once again, my predictions. Psyduck is a semi-popular Pokemon. It's a lot of marketing from Pokemon. It hasn't got any much love in the recent years, but it's still relevant in today's topic. So I do feel like I can see it being a new regional form, because I do like their regional forms. And Psyduck is one of the Pokemon that I would put in the category that Nintendo would give a form. So final thoughts, I can definitely see this happening. I just think this is Slay. I think it's actually growing on me now, and depending on the final evolution, I might actually have to choose Kogeka. I know I'm saying it wrong. Now this is the biggest leak so far, and you're probably reading it on screen. 300 new Pokemon / forms. Do you understand how crazy that is? 300 new Pokemon in one game, okay? Like, how many do we normally get? Okay, the article I found on The Gamer says each generation of Pokemon typically introduce roughly 70 to 160 new creatures to fall in love with as you embark on a new adventure. So I feel like 300 is definitely a huge jump. But they did say that the Pokemon is going to be, like, Wind and Waves is going to be the biggest ambition they have. Because, you know, 300 new Pokemon, that's like insane in the membrane. Nintendo has faced a lot of criticism in the most recent years about the Pokemon games. Even though people do buy them, people complain a lot, which I think is justified. Pokemon is one of their most grossed income, like, they make a lot of money from Pokemon, more so from the merch, like plushies, card games. But the games is how people fall in love with the Pokemon, they train with them, and they, meet them on their team, and then they grow, they beat really 4 champions or whatever, and then they want to go out and buy the plushie of that Pokemon, they want to buy like a binder, they want to buy that in a pin. So, and because of that, if the games receive criticism and people genuinely stop buying them, they're going to see a huge hit in the merch sales. Not now, but eventually if they don't pull it back in. And considering how much money they make and how little money they put in the Pokemon games, I think it's disgraceful that we don't have voice acting. And I think there's Central Leaks talks about how there was supposed to be voice acting and it got cut. It makes no sense. People aren't asking for voice acting in every single aspect. We want it at least for cutscenes, because cutscenes are so awkward. Like in the new Legends EA, I haven't played it, but when there's ever a cutscene, it's just quiet and silent and it's weird and awkward and it just goes, ugh. Biggest complaint is that we're going to get 300 new Pokemon, yet we're only going to see about 10 of them get an SAR. Like, we keep getting the same Pokemon: Charizard, Lucario, Pikachu, Glade, Gardevoir. Like, these type of Pokemon constantly get SIRs, and it's like, we don't need those. We have 300 new Pokemon, and about less than 1% of those will get SIR. Of course, illustration rare wise, it'll be fine, but still, you know what I mean? Like, and I know it's the creator of Pokemon, they just do it based off their favourite Pokemon, but that's so silly, because why is the point of making all these Pokemon? Like, just put them, they should make a list of all the Pokemon that don't have SIRs, and like go from there, you know what I mean? But instead we get bloody Charizard and Pikachu for the 5th time. So I am excited for this, and I do think that this will be true. I just know they're not going to do anything cool with it. The next thing is that the new battle mechanic will introduce special weather forms for some Pokemon. Think like Mega and Gigamax. I don't really understand that. I saw something talking about it, like, so does that mean if it's sunny they're going to transform? Or is it referring to the wind and wave? Like, if it's windy, are they going to like get stronger? And if it's wavy, we can really only see it in the context of, like I said, the weather. Like, is it sunny? Do they get to transform? Do they just get stronger? To me, that just sounds like weather conditions. That one, until I see more, I don't actually understand that, if I'm being. This is Central Leaks talking about how the game is going to be an MMO light. If you ever played a huge one, Pokemon MMO, it's basically like you can go across all regions, you talk to people, you battle people like real people, you can like form teams. It's actually really cool. I played it quite a lot. I want to say when I finished my A-levels and I had like a summer before university, I did a gap year, so probably after work. People do not like that, right? For me, an MMO Lite just means you have to buy you have to buy Nintendo Online. And if the aspect of this game is going to be heavily focused on online communication, they're not that good. Scarlet and Violet, I think, had really bad MMO type features. Like, that was barely MMO, but like you still need Lite, and I just don't like that. I didn't like it. I didn't actually talk to people, like I didn't meet people on there, which I think is what they're trying to go for, is, like people building community, and it's a really good way, because when you play actual MMOs, you do meet people, you do make friends, but because Nintendo I feel like they're trying to dip their toes in it slowly and gradually build up to the full MMO, which Central Leaks has said we are getting an MMO after a Legends 3 game, a full MMO, which I'm very excited for, but until then, I just think they should cut MMO features. You either do it or you don't. I don't see the point in having like some features, because then you have to buy Nintendo Online, which is the goal, but then you don't use it. Like, I bought Nintendo Online for Scarlet and Violet, but I didn't do anything to require it. Like, so I do think this is a miss. I don't think they should be doing this. And yeah, I think they should just cut it or make it a full MMO, but they can't do it now. Obviously, the game's coming out next year. Follow the similar structure of Scarlet and Violet of having 3 main stories. Do I like that? I mean, I like the more aspect storytelling of these games, because I do like the storytelling in Pokemon, because, it's a game and tragic stuff does happen. We're 10 years old in this and we're dealing with world-threatening issues. I do think they should focus more on the story, instead of... I like Sword and Shield. I'm not a hater of that game. I quite enjoyed it. But I think, once again, Leon did all of the work, which makes sense. With 10, he's a champion. But I feel like for these stories to work, the adults in our life do need to be semi-useless to some extent. And they do have to let the 10-year-old actually do the story. Otherwise, you're just playing Pokemon after you beat the game. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. That's what Sword and Shield felt like. Like, I'd beaten the game and I'm just mucking about. But I'm not hating that game because I think Sword and Shield is actually quite a good game, and it does get a lot of unnecessary hate. I'm not too mad about this as long as the story's good and I actually I like the characters. I quite like Hop, so as long as they do it right, I'm down. The idea for this generation is to be the more personable yet. Remember all new Pokemon to know them, to feel closer to them. Back to my last point, then you gotta make sure that you do art cards of these cards. But there's no point in having 300 Pokemon and like 1% of them actually get SAR featured. Even this illustration rares, we tend to get the same reused Pokemon. Pitch Black was good because they had a lot of new Pokemon that I don't think had gotten illustration rares before. Like, I can't remember their names, but I'll put them on the screen. And I think the art was really good. So I do feel like Pokemon have missed the mark with making you want to know the new Pokemon, because a lot of people do just reuse the same team. So I think if their goal is to actually get people to participate with the new Pokemon, I do think this is a good move. And I think they should focus more on us bonding with Pokemon. You know, like bring back during what you had in Sun and Moon or no X and Y, where you fed them, you played with them. I loved that part of X and Y. It was so fun. Like I loved playing with my Eevee and my Bulbasaur and my Talonflame and giving them macarons. But now it just was like battling. So Sandalite will get a regional evolution, Poison Dragon. I wonder then if they're going to switch it around, because obviously in the game Salandit only evolves if it's a female into Salazzle. So I would love to see if Salandit in this one, if males evolve only. I think that would be a nice flip on it, and it could be, you know, in conditions where only females get bigger. I think there's like a reason Salazzle gets bigger is probably because of the conditions, and I'd love it if they flipped it and male Salazzle is needed in that type of region. Lieutenant Surge, son will be in the game and have his dad's Pete Raichu. I don't give a damn. Lieutenant Surge is alright, I suppose. I feel like it's been such a long time since we've seen him that people are just going to go. People probably won't even realise, to be honest. But as long as we do it good, I want to be a main part of the story. I don't see him being one. This is my biggest complaint, and it makes no sense, and a lot of people have said in the comments that maybe they'll just bring it back. Voice acting was planned for the game, but could have been cut as it's not present in the current build anymore. If it was planned and we never did any of the voice acting, okay, fair enough. But if some people are saying that they had voice lines acted, and to me it makes no sense to cut them. They wouldn't hire bad voice actors. This isn't an indie project, this is Pokemon. So I don't see them getting the voice actors doing it and then going, hang on, they sound like ass, I'm just going to cut it. That would make no sense. So I do think, hopefully, at least with cutscenes of voice acted, and maybe they're just tweaking it and they're just changing it, because they still have till next year, so they could easily like switch stuff about, and maybe they're just trying to match up to the scenarios. But if this doesn't have voice acting, I think this game to me is automatically going to be sat at like a 5.5 no matter how good it is, because voice acting is so simple. Online play will be the biggest technical leap in Gen 10. As I was saying earlier, you either do it fully or you don't. MMO is hard to do in the middle, and as we can see in Scarlet and Violet, when you don't do all the way, it just does fall short. Pokemon that currently have placeholders special weather forms. Okay, special weather forms in the game are Arcanine, Lucario, Keldeo, Pikachu, and 7 new Gen 10 Pokemon. Bloody hell. This is what I mean. Arcanine, Lucario, Pikachu. The only good one there is Keldeo, because it's the lizard, gecko, chameleon, whatever it is. That's cool. I don't give a crap's monkey's bum about the rest of them, because why should I? Because they've got so much love already. Apparently, a lot of the development team has moved on to the DLC. I mean, that's normal. A lot of the time, moved on to the DLCs quite quickly. You can see in most Pokemon games, you get the DLC like right after, and most of the time they are just waiting for the game to come out long enough for them to be able to release the DLC without people saying you've just released the main game. And I still think most of the time it is too early. So yeah, once again, that is not surprising. Pokemon do like to have their DLCs ready. I mean, it makes sense. Quickly throw. I mean, look at Legends EA, for God's sake. I feel like we just got the DLC right after getting the game, when you could go into the pocket dimensions and basically Sun and Moon. They've said that they think is credible. I mean, I'm not going to knock it. I can see why. Once again, I think in the same way the 30th anniversary has to be ambitious, Wind and Waves has to be ambitious as well, because people are kind of getting tired of Pokemon and the repetitive slop they're feeding us. And I feel like people will wake up in the next couple of years and kind of go, I mean, a lot of people have skipped out on buying the Switch too, because a lot of people just they bought the Switch to play Pokemon games, and a lot of people can't justify buying a Switch 2 just for Pokemon games. So unless it's a really good game, you know, I haven't got the Switch 2 yet, but if Wind and Waves is really going to be good, I will buy a Switch 2, but a lot of people can't justify the £380 on something they're only going to play one genre of game, which I know people say, oh, just play other games, but some people don't want to play other games, and I do think, well, they definitely needed to upgrade the system. If they don't pull it in with Wind and Waves, I do think we're going to see a decrease in Pokemon love. Then it says the 300 new Pokemon is composed of brand new Pokemon plus regional forms, and it doesn't include the new weather forms, or if a Pokemon has multiple forms. That's good. Okay. I like how the new weather forms aren't included, which hopefully means they're not going to be a big aspect, because I really don't like the sound of them. I do hopefully they just focus on getting new Pokemon and putting out regional forms. Right, I'm going to leave us on this. I do think Wind and Waves is going to be Pokemon's biggest ambition in a while, and it makes sense, like I said, in the context. If you look at the 30th anniversary, there's a huge amount of product planned, like I talked about the other day. A huge amount of allocation is going to just small stores, and big stores are going to get allocated to hell. They want the 30th anniversary to be big, because Pokemon don't actually like scalpers. And another thing is that Pokemon really do want people to like the games. Obviously, you want them to like the games, but in recent years, I think Pokemon have been getting away with releasing slop. You know, their games aren't that defined, the graphics aren't good, you know, there's no voice acting, the storyline's quite basic, and I feel like Pokemon is starting to realise, hang on, people are pulling away, and a big way to bring us back in, a new game exclusive to the Switch 2, so you buy the Switch 2, and 2, a good game that people go, hang on, this is goated, I'm actually going to buy this, and if this game is goated, a lot of people will buy it. I reckon sales will be slow in the first couple of weeks as YouTubers begin to play it, as people begin to play it. Maybe I'll have to play it on here. But as soon as people say this game is good, and it actually is good, they will see a huge increase of Switch sales and a huge increase of this Pokemon game. And they need this to work. Otherwise, in the next 2 years, Pokemon will go down again, heavily this time though, because we're in a bubble, we're in a huge bubble, and people are getting tired of Pokemon. A lot of people just collect it due to FOMO, or because it's just been something they've been doing for 10 years now. A lot of people have been collectors for over 10 years, 20 years. They've been playing the games, and they are getting Pokemon fatigue. So until Pokemon step out of this whole investment slop, minimum effort on games, and they can put all their time and effort into bloody, Legends of Zelda. I'm not knocking that game, I've never played it, but it looks good. I feel like Pokemon just need to focus on making sure this game is good. Bring Pokemon fans back in, and then keep on this level. Then they can start the new era of Pokemon, because Wind and Waves will be the new era. It will be a new dawn for Pokemon, and I feel like with this new dawn, we can finally start seeing effort placed into Pokemon, and maybe we can see like the upturn of Pokemon and the quality. Alright, let me know what you think down below, and yeah, goodbye.